No country in the world has ever achieved its development ambitions without adequate and reliable energy. Energy is the lifeblood of industrialization, innovation, and economic transformation. It powers our factories, fuels our enterprises, and enables the productivity that drives growth and prosperity. It is for this reason that we in Kenya have made a deliberate and strategic decision to significantly expand our energy capacity and diversify the sources of that energy. From our current installed capacity of 3,300 megawatts, we are committed to scaling up by another 10,000 megawatts in the next 5 to 7 years. And I'm proud to announce that 3,000 of these megawatts, or 30%, will be generated from nuclear source. Consequently, Kenya plans to commence construction of a 2,000 megawatt nuclear plant in Siaya County from next year, with commissioning of the project in 2034. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not lost on me that the word nuclear often evokes fear and uncertainty in the minds of many. There is a perception that nuclear energy poses significant danger to human beings. This perception, while understandable, is not supported by any evidence. In fact, nuclear energy has been safely and reliably used for decades by the world's most advanced economies to power their development. France, for example, has relied on nuclear energy since the 1970s, which today accounts for 70% of its electricity generation. Similarly, the United States has operated nuclear power plants for over 60 years, with nuclear energy contributing nearly 20% of United States electricity mix and providing dependable baseload power. Here in Africa, South Africa stands as the continent's pioneer in nuclear energy, having begun generation in 1980s through the Koeberg Nuclear Power Station near Cape Town. With an installed capacity of about 1,860 megawatts, the facility has provided decades of safe and reliable baseload power, currently contributing up to 6% of the country's electricity supply. This experience demonstrates that nuclear energy is both feasible and sustainable when supported by strong institutions and sound regulatory frameworks. This is why nuclear energy and nuclear technology have been identified by the United Nations as key enablers in achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Beyond providing reliable power, nuclear energy offers several additional benefits for emerging economies such as Kenya. Allow me to highlight a few. First, nuclear energy is clean. It provides virtually no greenhouse gas emissions, making it a powerful ally in our fight against the effects of climate change and in achieving our national carbon reduction goals. Second, nuclear energy is reliable. Nuclear power plants operate round the clock, providing stable and consistent supply of electricity that is crucial for industrial use and grid sustainability. Third, diversifying our energy mix with nuclear power reduces reliance on volatile fossil fuel markets, enhancing energy security and strengthening national resilience. The development of a nuclear power program brings significant investment in infrastructure, creates jobs, from highly skilled engineers and technicians to support services and facilitate the transfer of advanced technology, stimulating growth across multiple sectors of our economy. The integration of nuclear energy into our national grid, therefore, represents a strategic transition towards securing a stable long-term solution for Kenya's rising electricity demand. With an operational lifespan of between 60 and 80 years and a capital recovery period of less than 20 years, nuclear power stands as a cornerstone of intergenerational sustainable development. By optimizing our energy mix through nuclear power, Kenya will realize a significant reduction in electricity costs of between 4 and 5.5 US cents a unit. The government of Kenya has continually undertaken open and transparent engagement with all relevant stakeholders, including host communities, to ensure that the development of the nuclear power program remains fully aligned with the frameworks, protocols, and safeguard systems of the international nuclear regulatory regime. I therefore call on international organizations and other institutions to support the enabling conditions for nuclear energy development, including policy, capacity building, financing mechanisms, and the establishment of a level playing field for all zero-emission energy sources. Ladies and gentlemen, central to this journey is our commitment to establish a world-class regulatory framework aligned with the international best practice. We recognize that a robust, independent, and transparent regulatory system is the foundation of a successful nuclear program. Kenya will therefore enact comprehensive legislation and adhere to the highest global standards of nuclear safety, security, and safeguards as we build a regulatory framework that inspires both domestic confidence and international partnership. Kenya has continued to work closely with international partners, including the United States, in advancing the implementation of its nuclear power program. Through this collaboration, we have become a partner in the foundational infrastructure of responsible use of small modular reactor technology program, supporting the responsible development of nuclear energy. In addition, Kenya and the United States have signed a memorandum of understanding on strategic civil nuclear cooperation. Kenya is now on track to conclude the 123 agreement within the next 3 months.
And in this juncture, this continent of Africa possesses 4 extraordinary natural advantages. Number 1, vast renewable energy potential with abundant solar, wind, hydro, and geothermal resources capable of powering large-scale clean industrial development. Number 2, abundant critical minerals essential for the global energy transition, including cobalt, lithium, manganese, platinum, and rare earth elements required for batteries, electric vehicles, and renewable technologies. Number 3, Africa is expanding its regional market and integrating it, driven by the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is creating a single market of 1.4 billion people and a GDP combined of around 3 trillion US dollars. And lastly, Africa has the world's youngest and fastest growing workforce, providing the talent, innovation, and labor force required to power the industries of the future. Yet, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, despite these advantages, investment flows remain low in Africa. Although Africa holds nearly 40% of the world's renewable energy potential, the continent has received only about 2% of global renewable energy investment over the past 1 decade. Correcting this imbalance is a climate imperative. It is also an investment opportunity of this generation. Africa leaders have already charted the path forward through the Nairobi Declaration on Climate Change that took place in this city in 2023 during the Africa Climate Summit. The continent articulated a bold and practical vision for climate positive growth. The declaration recognizes that while Africa contributes the least to global emissions, it faces some of the most severe climate impacts. At the same time, the transition to a low carbon global economy presents a historic opportunity for Africa to industrialize sustainably. This is not simply an energy transition, it is a clean energy-powered industrial revolution. Kenya is proud to play a central role in advancing this continental vision. Today, 93% of Kenya's electricity generation comes from renewable sources, including geothermal, wind, hydro, and solar. This places Kenya among the world's leaders in clean energy. For investors seeking to build low-carbon manufacturing platforms, Kenya offers a compelling proposition. Our strategic location, anchored by the Port of Mombasa and the Northern Corridor, provides connectivity to regional markets across East and Central Africa. Combined with a young, skilled workforce and steadily improving infrastructure, Kenya offers investors a competitive gateway into Africa's green industrial economy. To translate this opportunity into action, the Africa Green Industrialization Initiative was designed as a continental delivery platform that moves us beyond declarations into implementation by developing bankable investment pipelines across sectors that will define the green economy of the future.
Discussion will be about how we harness renewable energy for industrialization. And I want to put a global context before you, give you a few numbers to try to understand where the world is going, how Africa fits in, and how we in Kenya can actually harness this opportunity. So the story will be in 3 slides. The first slide is about direction. So the global power mix is changing, and you can see it like this is about 20 years. We still don't have a 2025 numbers that will come out soon, but the trajectory will not change. In 2024, we had more than 90% of capacity added in, from renewables. And when you look at the trajectory, you can see how the early climate policy changed the way the things moved. But once when the cost of renewable technologies went down, once when technologies improved, and when the greater understanding was gained how renewable energy are not just about the capacity, but also about the job creation, economic development, and energy security, the markets took over. So now this trend is actually unstoppable. And if you're like me, you actually don't know what a gigawatt is. I really struggle with conceptualizing what a gigawatt was. So I put these numbers on the side to show you what this 2024 means in the global context. So we had about 93 100 gigawatt of power capacity globally, the entire world. And you can see that renewable energy made up almost half of it. The other half is the fossil fuels and nuclear capacity combined. So what matters with this slide is it shows us well where the world is going. The renewable energy trend is increasingly shaping decisions about power system, industrial location, long-term investment, and economic resilience. So the second slide is about scale. The shift is real. We saw it in numbers, but it is highly concentrated. A relatively small number of countries are actually building out renewable capacity at extraordinary speed. Also we see the scale, and scale really matters because it shapes supply chains, it shapes costs, it shapes where industries choose to locate. So this slide is less about the capacity, but more about the advantage that is currently accumulating. And I have to say, every year when I get an update on these numbers, there's a level of anger in me when I see how small the circle on Africa is. So the world is like on over 4,000 gigawatt, and Africa, with its immense potential, has 67 gigawatt. Just think about the first slide in 9,000 something that we have, 67 gigawatt. So, and we cannot think about it just in terms of electricity, because we know 600 million people on this continent don't have energy. And we often hear this number, but think about that's like 1.5 times the size of Europe. It is an enormous amount of people, individuals who don't have these opportunities. And it's not just about turning the light on, it's about productive use, it's about everything else that comes with it. And I know that you understand all of this, but I always stop here because it's really astounding and motivating in some ways, because we actually can change this. So I want to go to the next slide, which is really what would these numbers mean in people's lives. Per capita capacity sounds a little bit technical, but in practice it tells us something very human. It gives us a sense how much of energy is available relative to the size of population and the needs of the economy. It speaks to jobs, transport, services, production, welfare, and the general ease or difficulty of life. So the story of these 3 slides is quite straightforward. They show the world is moving quickly in a new direction based on renewables. They show that scale is concentrated in a handful of places. And it shows that Africa has some work to do.
The global economy is being reshaped by geopolitical reorientation, climate pressures, energy insecurity, global transition to low carbon economies, and race for clean technologies. Old assumptions about growth, competitiveness, and industrial locations are shifting. Countries are rethinking supply chains. Investors are rethinking risks. Industry is rethinking where future production will be anchored. And this presents a strategic opportunity for all countries, for Kenya and for Africa, to reposition ourselves. This is where Africa's Green Industrialization Initiative, in short called AGII, comes in. The initiative reflects a deeper reality that as climate risks intensify, resilience and efficiency are becoming economic priorities, with limited action reshaping global trade, finance, and industrial strategy. AGII is built on a clear proposition that Africa can industrialize differently, can build competitively, can move faster up the value chain, and can do so in a way that strengthens resilience and advances climate-positive growth. We all know that the current crisis around Iran and the Strait of Hormuz has exposed the fragility of systems built on imported hydrocarbons. When energy security depends on shipping lanes, choke points, and volatile commodity markets, every geopolitical shock becomes an economic shock. The whole world is today feeling that again now. But we also have the tools to change. Bloomberg recently noted that while Europe remains exposed on gas, its power system has become more resilient because a larger share of electricity now comes from renewables.
Kenya's success in generating more than 90% of its electricity from renewable sources really is quite a remarkable achievement. It's comparable with the performance of countries like Scotland, where I've been living for the past 12 years, or Norway, and both are big hitters on clean energy, clean green energy. And like Kenya, they too are beautiful countries with so much environmental richness to protect, while serving their populations and supporting economic growth, including in the most remote and difficult to reach areas. Kenya's choices and actions have impact beyond the country's borders. It demonstrates what Africa's green industrialisation can look like when vision, investment and partnership all come together. With clean power progressing so well as one pillar of the transition, clean cooking logically must come next. Across Africa and here in Kenya, most households and institutions still rely on firewood and charcoal. And this has consequences that we're all aware of. Deforestation and increased greenhouse gas emissions, rising operational costs for institutions, indoor air pollution and health impacts, especially for women and children who are exposed most, are some of those consequences. As well as managing those concerning risks, clean cooking must also be seen as an industrial and an investment opportunity. Kenya's institutional kitchens across education, health, and correctional facilities represent one of the most powerful concentrated entry points. They create large, aggregated, and predictable energy demand. So shifting them from firewood and charcoal to electric, LPG, biogas, or modern biomass solutions wouldn't only cut emissions and improve health, but it would also unlock sizable new markets, spur local manufacturing, and create green jobs across the value chain.
Karibu sana, Akwaba, Saubona, Ekabo.
Good morning and welcome to African Energy Week 2025. In this year's Energy Week, we commit to positioning Africa as a true global energy champion.
It is indeed an honor to be here at the 5th African Energy Week. 5 years ago, many of you in this room, you asked us to build something more than a conference. You asked us to build a movement that will speak up for our continent, that will speak up on an industry.
The story of African energy is one of immense promise, and the leading chapters are still being written, supporting a continental marketplace for innovation, investment, and ambition converge. Let us make this the decade in which Africa's energy sector not only meets its potential, but leads the world, driving prosperity, resilience, and transformation.
So by working together with respect and strong partnerships, Africa's journey towards a just and sustainable energy future will prove it once again. Africa is opportunity, Africa is energy.
It is important to give women a seat at the table on decisions relating to energy security, particularly on the African continent, where the energy industry is opened and the market is opened and widened. All businesses can benefit. Diversity is good business for all organizations.
Africa's time is now, and Africa must take the opportunity now. Capital is very mobile, it's going to find opportunities somewhere. And as long as we can ensure that there's policy harmonization, we can go further together.
Across our continent, we are blessed in abundant resources: oil, gas, solar, land, the wind. We also have all the necessary resources to develop our country.
as we've been hearing from many of the presentations here, there is enormous proven resource in Africa. All over the place, onshore, offshore, everywhere else. But the investors need three things. They need that proven resource. They need a predictable rule of law that if they put their money to work, they can pull money out at the proper time. And three, they need a predictable enough security environment. If you do those three things, a lot of good will flow.
Yes, Africa's energy sector holds immense potential. But the truth is, Africa's tired of just saying potential. We want now reality to sink in. We need to have forums that have outcomes that we implement for ourselves. Over the last few days, we've seen incredible collaboration.
Our future and Africa's future is not for us to predict, it's for us to create. And we create that by driving those new chapters and produce energy for every African. That is a must, and our generation can do it. It is not impossible. Let's go, Africa, and thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate it.